everybody, and welcome to Versus, where we compare similar products in the world of motorcycling to help new and experienced riders alike make the best choice for their needs. Now in the first corner today, we have leather motorcycle gear. There are many different types of animal leather in the world of motorcycling. There's cowhide, we've got kangaroo, goat, and even buffalo. Now, traditionally speaking, leather has been the go-to material in the moto world because of its highly abrasion-resistant qualities. And in the next corner, we have textile gear. Textile materials are synthetic, non-animal fabrics that have become a popular choice for motorcycle riders because the technology and the versatility of textile gear offers a similar level of protection to leather, but with increased considerations for rider comfort. For the purpose of today's comparison, we'll be focusing on motorcycle jackets, but just know that the pros and cons we'll be discussing apply to all different types of motorcycle gear. So we're going to examine these two options in a variety of different scenarios and discuss what they bring to the table. And to do this, I'm going to take the most common questions we receive from customers and fellow riders like yourself out there who come from various riding disciplines, climates, budgets, you name it, and in the end, you're gonna have a better understanding of which option is right for your particular riding needs. All right, let's kick things off with the first question. The most common question that we get from new and experienced riders alike is, are textile jackets as protective as leather jackets? Questions about protection are incredibly common as leather has historically been the dominant force when it comes to abrasion resistance. But saying leather is more protective than textile may not always be true. Textiles have come a long way. There are many types of leather, but way more types of textiles available for manufacturers to use. And because textile offers a lot more flexibility for altering, shaping, stitching, etc., it really comes down to the material in question and how it performs. A thicker leather will likely outperform a thin textile, but at the same time, a more robust and beefy engineered textile would likely outslide test your average leather. But it's important to know that when you're shopping for your jacket, most textile options available nowadays have been rigorously tested and met the same safety certifications as their leather counterparts, thanks to features like reinforced stitching, additional abrasion-resistant materials in those areas prone to impact, and so on and so on. The nice part about today's market is that brands are starting to combine those heavy-duty abrasion textiles with leathers and placing them in key areas for maximum crash performance while using softer materials in those less key areas to make the jackets a bit more bearable to wear for longer periods of time. It's kind of the best of both worlds, really. So if you're looking for the most protective gear, I still think leather is a great option, but I have no hesitation wearing most textile jackets on the market these days, as I know it's going to keep me protected, but also provide me with a bit more versatility than its leather counterpart. Which leads me right in to our next question. So, the next question we often see goes something like, I live in an area of the country where it rains a good bit. What gear should I be considering for riding in the rain? For this particular scenario, I think the rider would be better suited with a jacket that can provide a bit of versatility through a variety of weather conditions. The majority of waterproof jackets on the market are textiles. They have the advantage when it comes to keeping you comfortable in rainy weather conditions for a couple of reasons. First, textile fabric is easier and cheaper to treat for waterproofing. Processes like laminating the material with waterproof coating, seam sealing, and treating with durable water repellent so moisture beads off are very difficult to accomplish when it comes to leather. Lastly, textiles don't absorb as much water into the fibers. Leather jackets not only retain a lot of water, making them heavy during the ride and wet for hours after the storm, but they require more maintenance. Once you get them wet, you'll typically need to condition or treat the leather after it dries to prevent any further issues, whereas textile jackets require a lot less maintenance other than letting them dry out and cleaning them. On the topic of inclement weather, however, there are many textile options made to deal with a wide variety of weather. They often come with thermal liners that can be added for additional warmth, as well as mesh material and vents to cool you down. While there are plenty of thermal liner options with leather jackets to combat cold weather, even perforated leather is no match for dealing with summer heat compared to mesh textile options. So unless you have a good waterproof liner to wear over your leather jacket, I think modern textiles are going to be better suited for riders looking for greater versatility and coverage in inclement weather. Next up, we don't get this question a lot, but it's worth discussing. Why are leather jackets more expensive than most textiles? Cost is always a big concern when you're shelling out for motorcycle gear. If you're throwing down a few extra bucks, you probably want to know why. And this really comes down to the manufacturing process and the material costs associated. Without getting too far down the rabbit hole, a large panel of leather costs a good bit more than a large piece of quality textile. Leather requires hide, and hide comes from cows, buffalo, kangaroos, deers, goats, etc., and those require animal farms to raise them, slaughterhouses to, well, you know where that goes, tanneries to dry and treat the hides, and the list goes on and on. And once the leather is prepared, you need more specialized talent and tools to work it into something capable of meeting the high standards of a crash-ready piece of motorcycle gear. Textiles are made of easily available synthetic fibers. Not only are they much easier to mass produce, but because they are so prevalent outside of motorcycling, there are more practices, machines, etc. available to finish and piece them. And with ever-changing technology, textiles are only limited to the imagination of the designer, whereas leather is a bit more stringent. This last question is a pretty good one and kind of tough to answer. Are textile jackets comfortable compared to leather? Comfort is a pretty big concern for any rider, and if it's not comfortable, we're not going to wear it, right? But comfort is incredibly subjective. I may think a particular leather jacket is the most comfortable piece of gear I've ever worn, throw it on a different rider with a slightly different build in the same jacket, and they hate it. We all have different expectations and comparisons on comfort to draw from. So again, it's a tough one to answer. Now with that said, in the past, I've gravitated towards leather for comfort. Right out of the gate, an all leather jacket like my Roland Sands Clash jacket, which I love, will feel a bit rigid at first, but once you wear it for any prolonged amount of time, it breaks in nicely and becomes more form-fitting and very comfortable to wear. Now older textile options and most weatherproof textile options offer little to no break-in or stretch in the fabric. So movement always feels restricted and less comfortable. But most of the modern textile jackets I get to test out these days have loads of stretch material incorporated in all the right places, in those low impact zones that are highly unlikely to make contact in the event of a crash. Manufacturers replace abrasion resistant material with stretch material to help with the overall movement, making them way more comfortable than some of their leather counterparts, while still maintaining an extra high level of protection. Something like the Dainese Indomedia XTD dry jacket is a great example that takes the cake when it pertains to the overall comfort. I'd also add that some sport-oriented leather jackets do an excellent job nowadays of incorporating that same stretch material found in the textile jackets, but it's only now starting to become more common. So regardless of the material, if comfort is the #1 priority, look for a jacket with a lot of stretch incorporated. But I think textile jackets, especially the more premier brands such as Dainese, RevZilla, Alpine Stars, have an upper hand these days when it comes to the overall comfort that they provide. So, what have we learned? When it comes to protection, it comes down to the effort put in by the manufacturer. When it comes to versatility and comfort, textiles are going to be the ticket, especially for any extreme conditions, hot, cold, rain, etc. And when it comes down to the cost, leather is going to be a bit pricier, but it's hard to beat that classic style. Hopefully this video has given you a better idea of what makes the most sense for you when you're choosing your jacket. If you want more information around selecting the right jacket, click the info button on your desktop or your mobile device to check out our how to size and buy jackets video. And if you have any more questions around which specific gear is right for you, you can always reach out to our customer service team who can walk you through all the options to help you find the right choice to match your riding style as well as your budget. Thanks for tuning in to Leather versus Textile. We'll see you next time. I'm Brandon. Keep it pinned.